So in divide and conquer technique, we have learned many algorithms, right? That is, we have learned binary search, finding maximum and minimum, merge sort, quick sort, Stressen's matrix multiplication, right? Today we'll discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of divide and conquer technique. Advantages: solving difficult problems. Divide and conquer technique, it's a powerful tool for solving conceptually difficult problems. All it requires is a way of breaking the problem into subproblems of solving the trivial cases and of combining subproblems to the original problem. So it is used for solving the difficult problem. What we need to do here, we have to break the complex problem into small subproblems, right? Small subproblems, then solve all these subproblems. If required, join the or combine the solutions for the subproblems, right? Second one is algorithms efficiency. The divide and conquer paradigm often helps in the discovery of efficient algorithms like the quick sort, merge sort algorithm, Stressen's matrix multiplication algorithm. So we have learned these algorithms, and we have seen that algorithms efficiency is logarithmic. Usually n log n to the base 2, right? We have seen that. So it is faster. When we use divide and conquer technique, the algorithm will be faster and efficiency will be good. It will create efficient algorithms. Parallelism. Divide and conquer algorithm. This is the third one, parallelism. Divide and conquer algorithms are naturally adapted for execution in multiprocessor machines, especially shared memory systems where the communication of data between processors does not need to be planned in advance, because distinct subproblems can be executed on different processors. I don't know whether you know the concept of multiprocessor machines or not. So if we have, I think you are learning operating system now. You know the concept of processor. Usually one processor will be there in the system. So when we have multiple processor machines, that is in a single system will be having multiple processors. So we can give the work, that is when we divide the algorithm input, so that input and algorithm both can be given to each processor. So for example, I have 4 quad processor, that is 4 processors I have in my measurements. For all the 4 processor, I can give 4, that is when the input is divided into 4 sub inputs or 4 sub problems. Each sub problems can be given to each processor. At a time, all the 4 sub problems will be executed. That is, this can be done only when each sub problem doesn't depend on another sub problem. Okay, if each sub problem is independent of each other, then only we can do that. Okay, and when we have shared memory system, shared memory means algorithm we can keep in one memory. All the 4 processor can use that same algorithm. And then input also you can keep it in memory, the same input. For example, if you are using any global variables, those variables can be used by the all the 4 processors. Okay, so here communication of data between processors does not need to be planned in advance. That is, you need not to plan anything here. Okay, that is, planning is already done because we have multiple processors. Also, all the multiple processors are already communicating. It is capable of communicating for passing the messages, passing the information like input, output and all. If that is the case, then we can directly execute all these subproblems at a time. Okay, that is parallelism. That is when we use divide and conquer technique. Memory access. Divide and conquer algorithms naturally tend to make efficient use of memory caches. So memory cache means this is a temporary memory. Cache memory is usually a temporary memory. Instead of accessing the slow memory, what we can do, whatever the required input we need, that we can store in the cache memory. Cache memories will be usually faster. Okay, we can keep, but it will temporary memory. It is temporary memory, and it will be smaller. Size of the cache memory will be smaller than the main memory. But whatever the important the information it is required, that can be kept in caches. The reason is that once a subproblem is small enough, it and that is that subproblem and all its subproblems can be solved within the cache without accessing the slower main memory. So when the problem is very smaller, we know that cache is also smaller. So problem is smaller means input will be smaller. Input will be smaller. So we can solve it in the cache memory itself. So it will be faster. An algorithm designed to exploit the cache in this way is called cache obvious, because it does not contain the cache size as an explicit parameter. So here cache size, we are not worried about the cache size here. Okay, because problem is divided into very small subproblems and each subproblem can be solved in cache memory itself. Round of control. In computation with rounded arithmetic, for example, with floating point numbers, a divide and conquer algorithm may yield more accurate result than a superficial equivalent iterative method. For example, one can add n numbers either by a simple loop that adds each data to a single variable or by divide and conquer algorithm called pairwise summation that breaks the data set into two halves, recursively computes the sum of each half and then adds the two sums. So what we can do, instead of using the single loop and executing divide and conquer technique, what it will do, it will divide the input into half up until it becomes small, that is two values in each subproblem. Okay, and it will start, that is pairwise summation, it will start adding two values together. Okay, it will start adding two values together, or we can divide until we get the single value and begin it with adding one array with another array, single values array. We can do that. So this will recursively compute the sum of each half and then add the two sum. This is round of control. This will be helpful when we have the values like floating point numbers. Okay, when we are performing floating point arithmetic, that is when we have fractional part to our values, then it will give you a good result or accurate result. While the second method, that is iterative method, performs the same number of additions as the first and pays the overhead of the recursive call, it is usually more accurate. Okay, so when we use the second method, that is we have one more problem here, that is when we use the divide and conquer technique. Second method means when we use the divide and conquer technique, here problem is with the recursive calls, but it will give the more accurate result. Disadvantages. The recursion is slow, which in some cases outweighs any advantages of this divide and conquer process. Even though we have so many advantages of divide and conquer process, recursion is slow, because for the recursion we are going to use the system stack, and from the system stack we have to store the local variables, we have to store the return address. When we have to go back, we have to take the return address from the stack and we have to move back to the previous call. Okay, so the recursion process is slow. It can become more complicated than a basic iterative approach, especially in case with a large n. So when we have the value of n is very large, okay, it's a greater value. When the value of n is very large, then it becomes a complicated process. That is, for example, if someone wanted to add a large amount of numbers together, that is addition. Okay, the addition of the elements present in the array. If they just create a simple loop to add them together, it would turn out to be a much simpler approach than it would be to divide the numbers up into two groups, add these groups recursively, and then add the sums of the two groups together. Okay, we can do the second process also, but when we have large amount of numbers or large numbers, what happens? So number of times it acts as the stack will be more. Okay, when it is more, obviously the time taken will be more. Sometimes once the problem is broken down into sub-problems, the same sub-problem can occur many times. So here we can see that, so when we use the divide and conquer technique, when we divide the problem into sub-problem, same problem may be there more than once. Okay, same problem, same sub-problem may be there more than once. In cases like this, it can often be easier to identify and save the solution to the repeated sub-problem, which is commonly referred to as memorization. So this is one method. This is one method that we can use for repeated sub-problems. Okay, what we can do instead of solve, for example, 10 times a same sub-problem is repeated. When you divide the sub-problem, same problem is there 10 times. Okay, instead of solving 10 times, we can solve it one time and keep it in a memory. Okay, it is like memorization. It is already solved. It is already solved. When you see the same sub-problem, instead of solving again, take the solution from the memory. So that is called memorization. It is like remembering. Okay, that's why the method is called memorization. Okay, I hope you understood this concept. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.